What if I told you that this struggle of yours against lust, this silent battle against impulses, is not a sign of weakness as many people think? In fact, it is a real war. And not just any war, but one that stands between you and the awakening of your true spiritual power. Every time you choose to resist temptation, you are not only avoiding falling into temptation, you are activating an authority that comes from within. A strength that perhaps no one around you notices, but in the spiritual world, it is impossible to go unnoticed. This goes far beyond self-control. It is purpose. It is inner fire. It is the sacred weight you carry and perhaps have not even realized yet. And if you are hearing this now, deep down, you probably already know. You were not born to live a lukewarm, extinguished life. There is something in you that feels uneasy when you try to fit in too much. That strange feeling of not fully belonging to what is around you, that same feeling that makes lust try to pull you down, because in reality, heaven is calling you to something much higher. Let's be honest, 90 days without sex, 90 days without masturbation, that is not just a detox of the body, it is the beginning of a rebirth, a spiritual restart. Because when a man decides to step away from that, he begins to transform into a living channel of something powerful, pure, and eternal. And what happens after those 90 days can change everything, so pay attention. Do not ignore this calling. This message is not for everyone. It is for those who are set apart, chosen for something greater. And if something inside you woke up now, you know, you feel it. Leave a like. If you are not yet subscribed, subscribe. And comment 99, just to mark that your spirit understood the message. The number 9 represents the end of a cycle, and perhaps your cycle is ending right now for something much more authentic to begin. Maybe you have learned that energy is just a matter of calories, movement, metabolism. But let me show you something no one ever taught you in school. When you choose to abstain, when you break this addiction to immediate pleasure, you are not only preserving your physical strength, you are activating an energy that comes from the soul. And do you know how it starts? In a very subtle way. One day you wake up and you are more awake. You walk into a place and notice that looks change. Your gaze becomes firmer, deeper, because your energy is no longer dissipating. It is returning to you. And here comes a part that few people know. When a man stops wasting his vital energy for nothing, even his voice changes. The way he walks changes, his presence changes, becoming denser, stronger, more full of purpose. Do you know why? Because this energy is no longer leaking out, it is accumulating inside you. Understand one thing, your seed is not just something biological. It carries memory, strength, intelligence, and identity. Every time it leaves without purpose, you are losing a bit of your inner world along with it. Now, when you choose to hold this strength, when you rise above pure and simple desire, something powerful happens.
Your system returns to balance, your mind slows down, and your soul begins to radiate something different. But it is not just any light. It is like an invisible presence, a kind of gravity that begins to form around you, and people notice. They cannot explain it, but they feel it. Your silence begins to have weight. Your words gain impact. Why? Because your energy field is no longer fragmented. It is whole, magnetic. Women feel this, men too. But most do not even understand what is happening, because this energy does not shout, it does not force, it simply exists. And when you reach this point, when your essence is fully preserved, you begin to remember who you really are. Not that version that society tried to mold, but the one that was dreamed by something greater, the one that came into the world with a mission and a calling. And then another thing happens. Your energy begins to change what you attract. False people with hidden intentions start to feel uncomfortable around you. Opportunities you did not even notice before begin to appear. The environment around you changes, not because you were trying to control everything, but because your inner energy became so strong that the world can no longer ignore it. And that is why abstinence, the true kind, done with awareness and purpose, is one of the most powerful weapons that exist. It transforms. It transforms men once hesitant into firm pillars. It transforms internal chaos into clarity. It transforms distraction into purpose. But let me give you an honest warning. This process is not light. It is not simple. A moment will come when everything inside you will want to scream. Your body will heat up, begging for pleasure. Your mind will try to escape, create excuses, sabotage, because what you are doing is not common, it is something deep. It is almost an act of rebellion against an entire system built to keep you dimmed, dependent, numbed. But if you continue, if you hold firm, even on the hard days, a point will come when temptation simply loses its power and in its place is born a presence, a calm but undeniable power. And the most beautiful thing? You will not need to say anything. Your energy will do all the work. It will enter places before you do. It will carry your truth, and yes, it will speak loudly. But look, this is only the beginning, because as soon as this power begins to bloom, the tests appear, and it is those tests that define what comes next. This is where many, even being chosen, end up getting lost, not because of something coming from outside, but because of something that still lives inside them. Let's talk about this. Nowadays, there are many people, many men indeed, who feel lost. And not because they're lazy, nor because they're broken, but because they're confused, dulled, as if a cloud were hovering over the mind, Scrambled thoughts, no clarity. And this often starts when the inner fire goes out. And the root of it all, in most cases, is lust. But not only the act itself, it is the constant bombardment of stimuli. It is the images, the videos, the fantasies, that addiction to instant dopamine that seems harmless but drains your soul. And it enters through the crack. A look here, a click there, a casual scroll. When you realize it, your mind has already been drained. You can no longer focus. You cannot finish what you started. You no longer hear that inner voice. This has nothing to do with right or wrong in a moral sense. It is a mental war, because lust not only destroys your body, it erases your spiritual vision. And when you stop seeing, you stop building. You do not lead. You do not create. You do not even know who you are anymore.
But then a turning point happens. When you decide to break the cycle, silence the impulses of the flesh, and give voice to the soul, something begins to change. Slowly, but in a very real way, you start to feel again. Colors become more vivid, time slows down, conversations gain meaning, and little by little you remember who you were before all the noise. That hidden version of yourself emerges, the one that was buried under distractions. And with it, new ideas appear, not ordinary thoughts, but insights that seem to come from above. Plans, answers, directions. You begin to understand why certain pains repeated, why doors remained closed, and the puzzle of your past starts to fit together. Your mind clears and vision expands. You see people differently. Intentions, masks, traps. Nothing passes unnoticed because your mind is no longer asleep. You recognize toxic patterns before they repeat, and you distinguish what flows from your essence from what is mere distraction. The presence of God becomes real, not distant, but a living frequency in every step and choice. That clarity disturbs, because a man who sees clearly becomes a threat to the system. He cannot be manipulated by fleeting pleasures. He becomes a man of vision. And men with vision in ancient times not only foresaw the future, but shaped history. That same potential exists within you. When you stop wasting your essence, your mind becomes a throne where God begins to reign. But clarity is not only a gift, it is a responsibility. You begin to feel discomfort with words you once spoke, with places you once went, with people you once embraced. Sensitivity awakens, and the voice you silenced since childhood returns. This time, you no longer ignore it, you trust it, because your eyes are open and life demands a stronger version of you. It is not just resisting impulses, it is a spiritual battle. Each renunciation moves something in the unseen world. Authority is forged in secret, not in applause. No one receives a crown without a cross, nor anointing without renunciation. Heaven notices the man who chooses purity in silence and grants him weight and authority. His words carry presence. His prayers have impact. Even his silence transforms the atmosphere. But hell also notices. Temptations no longer come head-on, but disguised, subtle, emotional traps to steal focus. Because now you are too valuable to be wasted. You carry a fire, steady and spiritual. From this struggle emerges something rare, an energy that cannot be faked or bought, a magnetism that women feel without words. In a world full of men guided by desire, a man guided by purpose is shocking. He does not chase approval, he does not beg for attention, he simply is, and that presence transforms everything. Most women have never stood before a spiritual man. They know men who want something, who speak with hidden motives, but a man who needs nothing, who is at peace, who walks with vision and authority, that man cannot be ignored, because when the flesh is silenced, the spirit speaks louder.